There's a sound the world makes right before you change it. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's the quiet heartbeat of a beginning. The whisper of someone saying, "What if I just start?" Every journey that ever shaped the course of history began with one simple act. The first step. It's the smallest, yet the most powerful decision a person can make. Because that moment when you choose to move is when possibility awakens. The first step doesn't ask you to have it all figured out. It doesn't require certainty, perfection, or even confidence. It only requires the willingness to start, even when you're not ready. That's what separates the dreamers from the doers. The ones who stay imagining their lives and the ones who begin creating them. The first step carries the weight of fear and the hope of change. It's uncomfortable, uncertain, and often lonely, but it's also the moment that turns imagination into motion. Many people wait for the right time, the right resources, the right sign. They wait for life to align perfectly, forgetting that beginnings are never perfect. They are powerful because they are imperfect. Every step forward, no matter how uncertain, builds momentum. And once momentum takes over, courage grows. What once seemed impossible begins to feel inevitable. Taking the first step is a declaration to the universe that you are ready to move beyond hesitation. It's saying, "I'm done waiting for the world to change. I will be the one who changes." That single act shifts everything. It opens doors you didn't know existed, introduces you to people you were meant to meet, and builds strength you never knew you had. The first step doesn't guarantee success, but it guarantees growth. It guarantees that you will not be the same person you were yesterday. When you dare to take that step, you tell your fears they no longer own you. You tell doubt that it can whisper, but it can't decide. You tell the world that you are more than your excuses, more than your comfort, more than your limits. And in that moment, the future starts paying attention. Because the world doesn't move for those who wait, it moves for those who walk. The first step is never easy, but it is always worth it. Because it's not just a step forward, it's a step into who you were meant to become. Courage over comfort. It's the choice that defines every breakthrough, every transformation, every rise from ordinary to extraordinary. Comfort is safe, familiar, and quiet. It whispers promises of ease, of rest, of staying where you are. But comfort has a hidden cost. It slowly steals your potential. It convinces you that standing still is enough, that dreaming is the same as doing. Courage, on the other hand, asks more of you. It demands that you leave behind what's easy for what's meaningful. It challenges you to face the unknown, to walk into uncertainty with faith that something greater awaits. Choosing courage means walking through fear, not around it. It means acting even when your voice trembles and your heart pounds. It's standing on the edge of doubt and saying, "I'll try anyway." Every person who has achieved something remarkable has faced that choice, to stay comfortable or to step forward despite fear. And every single one of them will tell you, comfort never created greatness. Comfort builds walls, courage builds wings. When you choose courage over comfort, you redefine what's possible for yourself. You stop letting fear dictate your limits. You begin to see challenges not as threats, but as teachers. You learn that growth doesn't happen in the warmth of certainty, but in the heat of pressure, in the chaos of risk, in the stretch of discomfort. Courage doesn't mean the absence of fear. It means the presence of purpose stronger than fear. It means your why is louder than your worry. Every great story, every powerful legacy, every dream that touched the world began with someone who chose courage when comfort was easier. They faced rejection, failure, doubt, and yet they moved anyway, because they knew comfort might protect you for a moment, but courage builds you for a lifetime. So when fear tries to hold you still, when comfort tempts you to wait, remember this: nothing grows in safety. All progress begins at the edge of discomfort. Courage is not a gift you find, it's a choice you make. And every time you choose it, the future takes one step closer to meeting you halfway. Faith in the unknown is the silent force that moves the world forward. It is the belief that even when you cannot see the entire path, the ground will appear beneath your feet as you walk. It is what gives strength to those who dare to start without guarantees, who step into uncertainty with nothing but conviction in their hearts. The unknown is intimidating. It's filled with questions, risks, and possibilities that cannot be measured. But it's also where discovery lives, where growth begins, and where destiny takes shape. Having faith in the unknown means trusting that every challenge has a purpose, even if it's not yet visible. It means understanding that the journey will reveal what you need to know when you need to know it. Too often, people wait until they have clarity before they move. They wait for the perfect sign, the perfect moment, the perfect plan. But the truth is, clarity doesn't come before you begin. It comes because you begin. Faith fills the space between where you are and where you're meant to be. This kind of faith isn't blind, it's brave. It's built on the quiet understanding that uncertainty isn't your enemy. It's your opportunity. It's what turns hesitation into motion and fear into freedom. When you trust the process, you stop needing to control every outcome. You start listening to your instincts, following your purpose, and allowing the path to unfold naturally. The unknown stops being a threat and starts becoming your teacher. Every person who has ever built something meaningful has walked through the fog of uncertainty. They didn't know how it would work. They didn't know if it would succeed, but they believed in the possibility that something greater could emerge. That belief, that unshakable faith, became their light in the darkness. It guided them when logic said to quit, when doubt said to turn back. Faith in the unknown reminds you that you don't have to see the finish line to begin the race. You just have to take the next step, trust your purpose, and keep moving. Because in the end, the future doesn't demand certainty. It rewards those who believe before they can see. Fear is the most natural companion of every dreamer, but what separates the achievers from the hesitant is the ability to turn that fear into fuel. Fear often disguises itself as logic, whispering reasons to wait, to doubt, to stay where it's safe. It tells you that failure is too dangerous, that others might laugh, that you might lose everything you've worked for. Yet beneath every fear lies a truth. Fear only appears when something truly matters. It signals that you're standing at the edge of growth, on the verge of something bigger than yourself. Turning fear into fuel begins when you stop running from it and start listening to it. Instead of letting it paralyze you, you let it guide you. Fear is energy, and energy can be transformed. Every heartbeat that races with anxiety is a reminder that you care, that you're alive, that you're in the game. The moment you redirect that energy toward your purpose, fear becomes your engine. It sharpens your focus, heightens your awareness, and pushes you to prepare, to perform, to persist. The greatest innovators, leaders, and pioneers weren't fearless. They simply refused to let fear make their decisions for them. They stood in front of their doubts, their critics, their insecurities, and chose action. They understood that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the mastery of it. The fear of failure, when embraced, becomes the hunger to grow. The fear of rejection, when faced, becomes the drive to improve. The fear of the unknown, when challenged, becomes the thrill of discovery. Every time you walk through fear, you reclaim your power. You prove to yourself that what once scared you can no longer control you. And with each victory, you grow stronger, bolder, freer. You begin to see that fear was never the enemy, it was the test. It was the universe asking, how much do you really want this? The answer is written in your actions. So when fear rises, don't shrink back. Stand taller, channel it. Let it ignite your determination and light the path ahead. Because the moment you turn fear into fuel, you stop being chased by your limitations and start being driven by your purpose. Every action, no matter how small, creates a ripple. It may seem insignificant at first, a single decision, a single effort, a single voice. But what begins as a drop soon spreads across the surface of life, touching places you could never imagine. The ripple of action is the unseen power that connects your courage to the future. It reminds us that progress doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers through the quiet consistency of showing up, of trying again, of believing one more time. When you take action, you initiate motion not just in your world but in others. You inspire people without even realizing it. Someone watches you rise after falling, and suddenly they believe they can too. Someone sees your persistence in the face of doubt, and it reignites their own hope. That is the beauty of action. It multiplies itself. It turns into momentum that spreads beyond your reach, changing hearts, shaping minds, and building movements. The world doesn't move by words alone. It moves when someone dares to act on them. Action is contagious. One brave decision can create a chain of courage that travels further than you'll ever know. History is filled with examples of ordinary people who took one step that changed everything. A student who spoke up, a worker who refused to give up, a dreamer who dared to start. Their ripples became waves that transformed generations. And the same power lies within every person who chooses to act instead of waiting. The ripple of action also teaches patience. You may not see the results immediately. You may feel like your effort vanishes into silence. But even then, it's moving, unseen, unmeasured, unstoppable. The universe always responds to effort, even if the answer takes time. Every seed you plant through your actions will one day find its season to grow. So when the road feels endless and your progress invisible, remember that every step counts. Every choice matters. Every effort echoes. Your actions today are building bridges to tomorrow. The change you seek begins with motion, your motion. And though you may not see the full ripple now, one day you'll look back and realize it reached farther than you ever dreamed. Every beginning leaves behind a trace, a legacy that outlives the moment it was made. The legacy of beginning is not built on perfection or success. It's built on the courage to start when everything inside you said, wait. It's about the people who dared to be the first, the ones who planted seeds of change long before they could see them bloom. Their actions, their choices, their first steps became the foundation on which others would stand. That is what legacy truly is, not the applause of the present, but the echo that continues long after the noise fades. When you begin, you're not just creating for yourself, you're paving the way for others who will come after you. Your willingness to start gives permission to those who've been waiting for a sign that it's possible. The stories of progress, innovation, and hope all began with someone who didn't know if it would work, but began anyway. Those beginnings became roadmaps for generations. The world moves forward because of those who understood that legacy isn't something you build at the end. It's something you create in the act of beginning. The legacy of beginning is also deeply personal. Every time you start again after failure, every time you rise after defeat, you add another chapter to your own story of resilience. One day you'll look back and see that what defined you wasn't how many times you succeeded, but how many times you dared to begin again. That persistence becomes your imprint, the mark that says, I was here and I did not give up. What you begin today may outlive you. It may inspire someone you'll never meet, influence a life you'll never know, and ripple into futures beyond your imagination. That is the quiet power of beginnings. They build legacies larger than one lifetime. So never underestimate the value of your start, no matter how small or uncertain it feels. The act of beginning is the spark that lights the torch for others to carry forward. Because in the end, the future remembers not who waited for the right moment, but who created it. And that is the true legacy of beginning. The truth is, the future doesn't belong to those who wait for it to arrive. It belongs to those who build it. It honors the ones who stepped forward when the path was unclear, who dared when others hesitated, who began when the world stood still. Every great legacy, every change, every miracle started with a single decision to begin. And that same power lives in you. So don't let fear write your story. Don't let comfort silence your calling. The world is waiting for your courage, your ideas, your voice. There will never be a perfect moment. There will only be this one. And this moment is enough. When you take that first step, you awaken possibility. When you keep walking, you inspire others to rise. And when you finally look back, you'll realize the future didn't just happen. You made it happen. So go. Begin now. Begin boldly. Because the future does not remember those who stood still. It remembers those who dared to begin.